Seems as if it's 8 o'clock, we'll bring the meeting to order and start with the pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody have a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Approval of the bills. That would include the highway, or the law enforcement center bill and the highway department.
I'll make a motion to approve for discussion. Just, see that there's never been something else. I was just gonna ask about this on the, additional bills to be audited, the flooring order for the south end, it said. Don't we have a contract with Ramsey controls, or is that just for maintenance?
That's just.
Okay, and you still have to pay for additional parts?
Right.
Maybe it's break or something. Okay, that's my one question.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Olson,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Burns, Lycon,
Aye.
Hessler.
Aye. Have a look at the financial reports. On track, Betty?
Yes.
I'll move to approve the financial.
A motion and a second to approve the financial reports. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. And the list of the treasurer's checks.
Move to approve. Second.
Roll call now.
Olson,
Aye.
Lycon,
Aye.
Brown, Mertens,
Aye.
Hessler.
Aye. And everybody got a copy of the agenda?
Everything's the same from when you start out, correct?
Same one as the.
Yes, except we have 3 more site authorizations.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Stacy,
Good morning.
good morning.
For me, we had 71 veterans and family members come in. We still remain busy. The way it looks, June's heading in the same direction. The only other thing I got to say is I've seen a little bit of work coming my way from Pembina County, of all places. It seems that my reputation is getting out there, and the gentleman that's up in Pembina has left a few things hanging, and through my efforts with other agencies, referrals and whatnot, they've sent a couple people down here to get help, and we're making it work. So yeah, it wasn't nothing that wasn't too terrible, or we couldn't get done in just a couple hours of work total. So we got her fixed and working. I did make a reference to one of the issues who the people had difficulty with the Pembina officer, and I asked them to report him to the state if they're not satisfied. And it sounded like that's probably what they will be doing. So that's all I got. If there's any questions.
The reputation isn't good or bad.
And I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they just came down here to have a good time.
I'm pretty sure your reputation. I'm not concerned.
They have a veterans officer up there?
Yes, he's a young guy, and he's kind of short-tempered, and he doesn't know the position that well yet. So, I think he'll get talked to by the state and then, that should take care of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Stacy. Kristen?
Good morning.
Good morning.
A few things. Yesterday, we did get we as in not me, but the installation team from West Shore Services out of Michigan was able to install the siren up in Lawton. They are waiting on one small part because it wasn't shipped, so another guy will be here the Monday, Tuesday following Father's Day. So in just a couple weeks. Also, we did get almost $3,800 back from Workforce Safety Insurance for those mandatory meetings and our mandatory reporting. So we did get that back, and I talked to Betty, and she stated that a variable amount will go to each department. So that was nice to get that money back. I've been working a lot on our conference speakers and conference agenda, being on the board of my Association for Emergency Management. That's one of my duties to put all that together for that upcoming conference in September, so that's going well. We do have an upcoming LEPC meeting, June 29th, 10:30 in my office. If you would like to come, you're more than welcome to come. And I've also been working with the college and a couple other first responding agencies for a tabletop at Lake Region State College. We've never done one at the college level here, so we're working on that, and I wrote up a scenario for that, so that's moving forward. I don't have anything else to really visit about, unless you have any questions for me.
Sounds like you're working hard.
I'm busy, yes, never a dull moment.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Bill?
Like others, morning. Just a reminder that our annual 4-H livestock show is next, 2 weeks from Thursday, the 23rd. We have since last year added Cavalier County to the mix. They want to know if they could join us on the livestock portion, and we're going to give them the trial run, and everything looks okay this year, then we'll add them as a joining county partner to our livestock show. So that'll be 2 weeks from Thursday, the 23rd. This Saturday is our annual 4-H horse show. Sounds to be a little bit toasty that day from the weather I've been hearing. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. On the cropping side, I'm thinking that we should probably be about done planting probably the next 2-3 days. We've still got some edible beans left, and unfortunately we got some areas, particularly in the northeast, that just got plummeted with water. Up around north and east of Edmore is not very nice. And then there's little spotty places around, like just the other day up north of south of there was a shower went through that 2.5 inches, they said, in about 40 minutes. It doesn't do much good either for a lot of stuff. Horticulture side, as Commissioner Olson would know, been terribly busy. Questions. Still trying to figure out what's going on with the front lawn of the courthouse. Very difficult. There's something up there is up. Roger and I have talked a lot about it. We're even seeing a tree out there that's creating some problems. So we're going to get somebody up in Fargo to give their opinion on that as well. Otherwise, we are very busy with all kinds of Achievement Day stuff and judging for others, and just lots of activities going on. Questions?
Quite an interest from Cavalier County for the livestock?
Oh yeah, they're coming this year.
There are quite a few.
No, there's 2 families from up in the Muni country. So yeah, it won't be a big addition, but if we can help them out, we're willing to do that. And the livestock committee was okay with doing that.
Great.
Okay,
Okay, thanks,
thank
Bill.
you.
I'll move on to Roger.
I've gotten 2 estimates for the concrete for out in the back here by the parking lot. One from Johansson Construction for $3,898, and the other one from Ellis Hawk Construction for $3,462. So I see no reason not to have Ellis Hawk do the concrete work.
I'll move to accept a little bit of the concrete work.
I'll say.
A motion in a second. We need roll call.
Hello? Olson?
Aye.
Lightfon?
Aye.
Mertens? Heisler?
Aye.
that's it for me.
So what do you think's wrong with the front yard?
Well, some of it is, I'd say probably a third of it is our normal putting the salt on the sidewalk and blowing it up onto the lawn. We always have that every year. And Bill and I were talking, when I sprayed last fall, it was awfully dry. And he asked me if I'd watered later. And I said, no, I don't believe so. He kind of came to the conclusion that it just couldn't take it. So even though the lawn still looks pretty bad, I can say it's a drastic improvement over what it was a month ago. So it is coming back in, and I've reseeded the whole thing, put down like 30 pounds of grass seed, so I was thinking about going out and doing some more. On the south end, you can just see a perfect line where I would have blown the snow up with the snow blower. And I know that's where on the south end, that's what happened there. And there's always patches here and there where we just shove off the snow and it kills the grass when we've got salt on the sidewalk. So.
Do we need to bid for more cement?
Pardon me? Need to bid for cement? No, Bill's been talking about this artificial turf that some neighbor of his son or something's putting down. I guess that looks pretty good. So.
Everybody should have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
but it's coming in, so.
sounds good. Thanks, Roger.
Yep.
Kevin, you're up.
Okay, I'll start with the update on our projects that are going on this summer. None of the gravel projects have started yet, so nothing to report there. Both Ramsey County 8B and 9C, the construction signs are up for the paving on both of those. They'll be starting paving this week, and they should have both those projects done by the next meeting. They're figuring the 17th if the weather holds out, they'll have them both done. Including the rumble strips and the painting and everything, so. That's, 8B is from 3 to 4 gravel, if you're not aware. The 9C is up north Edmore. So those will be done by the next meeting. Any questions on those? On the Maloney Bridge, I meet with the water board today to get a determination on the culvert sizes to put in there. Hopefully we can come up with something today. I still don't have those culverts ordered. But the plan is to get those in sometime in the middle of July. Takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get culverts made.
You're gonna meet with who, Kevin?
Water board?
And how many are you looking at?
Not sure. They're gonna have I think what they'll have this morning is a cubic feet per second that goes through that bridge, and then we'll have to determine from there how many. I would say 3 pretty good sized ones, I guess. It's a pretty big bridge. Not so long, but deep.
What fund is that being paid out of?
Our bridge one.
Bridge fund? And you're gonna replace it with colors?
Yep. Any other questions there? The Morris Bridge is still scheduled for next year, so we're just slowly creeping ahead on that. Morris Township Bridge. Any other questions on our projects? I think that's about it. I got some bids from the contractors for concrete work for the shop in Edmore. I think I sent out 7 bids to contractors, got 2 back. Leasing was $59,600, and he can start after the 4th of July. And plumber construction out of Langdon was $51,968, and he can start this week yet. So my recommendation would be to award to plumber construction, since they can start so much earlier.
I see in your list of bills, Kevin, that you.
Oh yeah, I should mention that part of his bid was, he wanted 30% down, so that kinda hinges on, that bill hinges on what we decide to do here.
You don't even count the yet.
I guess not, well, they
I
must have,
know.
I guess the overhead, I don't know.
Standard operating.
Is that a motion to accept?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid for $51,000 for, from Plummer Construction out of Langdon. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Olson?
Aye.
Lightfon?
Aye.
Martins?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Or Brown?
Aye.
See if you're.
And a couple other things I had, back to the expedition, I finally heard back from the vendor, the state, that had the state bid, and they are going to honor their price for the 2016 versus the 2017. But now I did talk to the local Ford dealer, and they're willing to match that price. So I guess I don't know how you guys want to handle that, or I'm willing to have the local contractor, or not contractor, dealer do it, but we may have to change our motion. The motion on the book says that we go with the state bid. So however you guys want to handle it, doesn't matter.
Who made the motion? You know?
I don't, it was April.
That's all right.
I think it was, I don't know who made it or seconded it, but it was Adam and
I think it was Bill and Ann.
I don't know which way it went.
I'm sure it was too. And we could just leave the motion that we take the state bid with the price, but to deliver it to the, or accept
Marketplace.
Marketplace Motors as the dealer.
You haven't signed anything with the,
Either way, I have it, because I just heard from him on Friday,
From Marketplace.
from state bid person. They were waiting for pricing on the 2017s, and they told me on Friday that the bid stays the same.
But you haven't talked to Marketplace yet.
I did,
Oh, you did?
and they said they will honor it. They
They're
did,
good to go.
yep.
Hey, why wouldn't they before?
Because what was happening was they were bidding the 2017, and the state bid was the 2016, and he was thinking that the 17 would go up in price, but it, as it turned out, it didn't.
And it didn't to the state, didn't to him.
So it was kind of in limbo. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
So do you want to just amend the motion to add that Marketplace Motors would be the contractor on the bid?
Say, just amend the motion stating that we
Dealer on the
will
bid.
go with the local dealer on the match bid.
Okay with you?
yeah, that's fine with me. That's the best way to do it.
It should be
However it went,
I
we'll,
mean, yeah, it's
Okay.
either that.
It
or-
should be accepted.
The preference is always for the lowest responsible bid.
Right.
And from prior experience with this commission and prior commissions, when you can use, especially with the same price, a local vendor because of the service opportunities, that's something that's clearly within the discretion of the county commission to accept.
Well, and wouldn't you save money by not having to go down and pick it up?
Yeah, it's in Grand Forks, but yeah, whatever gas it takes to get there, yeah.
So we're actually saving money by going. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to amend the motion to involve, to fulfill the bid for the
Excellent.
2017 expedition with the local contract, with the local dealer. Any other discussion?
What was the bid pricing again, Kevin?
The name,
The
The bid price.
33,157.
And should we do roll call again on this?
Sure. Brown?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Lightfon?
Aye.
Martins? Heisler?
Aye. Anything else, Kevin?
The President's Tour, I won't be able to make that because I have doctor appointments that day that I can't miss, but come up on the 30th, but I think that's something everybody should try and get to, but I can't make it, so I just wanted to bring it, let everybody know that. And then Paul did have some, he must be, Paul Bjornson must be in the water board, but he had some stuff he wanted to talk about too.
No, we'll let him come.
Yeah.
Come in next time. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I have one question for Kevin. The road dust control, are we doing that again?
Yep, we are. We're, for this year, we're doing, the county's gonna pay us
Yep.
everybody.
I just hadn't heard nothing and nobody else heard.
Latest we heard, and this changes daily, but the 13th of June, they're coming, here's Paul coming out.
Early this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
and those dates change, but that's
Yep.
what they're telling us now.
Okay.
Okay. That's the 14th Street Road?
Yep.
Yeah, and there's some others up north too, like 7, and there's other roads we're doing too.
That's quite a few.
Probably a mile, or a little over a mile, yeah.
Lakewood.
Lakewood's paying for their own, but
Thank you.
yep. Yeah,
Those are Creel Township.
Creel, yeah, there's, College View or whatever they call that one, north of the telephone company, they pay for theirs.
We probably need to, ahead of time, think about that for next year. Putting the cost of it back on the township for that road.
Yep, depending on what goes on in the perimeter road, and that's another thing I should probably let you guys know, that I've been trying to get a date set with the city, and they have a hard time getting them to respond. I don't know what to say about that, but. So as soon as the city's able to set a date on a perimeter road meeting, we'll put that together.
One more question. You had, should we get the board to approve this contract with Knife River Material?
Was
The
that-
contract bond? Or do they need to make a motion?
I think we might have done that already. Do you remember, Paul, off the top of your head, did we
We just
make
didn't sign it?
a? Oh, you know, that is the contract for 8.
Contract and contract bond from Knife River Materials. I scanned and sent it to Lonnie and Kevin.
Okay. I think we concurred in the board that we would,
Are these all different?
there's one for each, one for 8, one for 9.
One for 8, one for 9.
Okay.
Do you want to
So-
look at this, Paul?
Yeah, sure.
I guess I'm one short, I guess I didn't get one for, 9. One for 9. 28, 8, 8, 9. You got one for 8 and 9 both?
I think I
How
got it.
about the top? That's it. Okay.
This all looks the same, this one all looks the same.
Yeah, they're almost identical. One's got permanent striping and one doesn't. One's 9 miles, one's 5.
These are all the same numbers, man. So maybe I had a,
One's 3606 and the other is 36.
I might have two the same one.
3606 is Ramsey 9.
And 3618 is Ramsey 8.
58 and 55, so take one. We get a different one.
All right.
Under the B description, it tells you that Ramsey County.
One's for 9 and one's for 8.
Yeah. These are for the engineering, these task orders are for the engineering for those 2 projects.
And these, I just did them under the general engineering services agreement, so it's shortened down quite a bit, they're 4 pages instead of 20 or 30, so. Basically, these just give the scope of work that, just for these specific projects, and then the terms are all spelled out previously.
Okay.
And we, talked tonight for, we've had the pre-jobs for both projects, so that, gotten down a little bit. We had some room left in the design budgets, so we did that. And then, we got their schedules. And they were a little optimistic in their schedules, so I left, a day of, in case they have weather
Is
delays.
this
or anything.
foreign?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was nice of you, because it's not so bad. So we need a motion on the floor separately,
Yeah, they should be separate.
they should be separate, to accept.
What are we dealing with?
This is for the engineering, inspection engineering
County, road 8 and county road.
and while they're paving, the engineering work they're gonna do while they're paving.
We're gonna
So I'm-
decide on first, eight. I'll
Motion
make a, go ahead, Bill.
motion to approve the engineering contract on E.
Second.
Does require roll call? Yeah. Any other discussion?
Do we want to, did you already have a motion to approve the construction contract?
Yeah.
No, we better do that first then.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's for 8, but we've already approved the low bid of Knife River, so now this is the contract that Knife River and the state put together for construction.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract and the engineering.
So we'll make a motion for the contract and the
Contract and
engineering
engineering
on County Road 8.
Second.
And we'll do roll call on that.
Olson,
Aye.
Lifetime,
Aye.
Martins,
Aye.
Brown, Iceman.
Aye. The motion carries. And now I'll entertain a motion for approving the engineering and project costs on Ramsey County line.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Lightfon, second by Olson. Is there any other discussion on that one? Roll call, please.
Brown,
Aye.
Martins,
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Iceman.
Aye. So, we got these. Anything else, Paul?
Don't think so. They're planning on starting last week or next week. On the
Next week?
1st.
What day? 13?
I think, yeah, Monday they said. But they've pushed it back 4 times already, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them again.
Well, they might not be done by the 17th.
Oh, not, no. It'll be the following week.
24th?
Do we need to change anything
No.
on that?
They have till the 30th.
Okay.
Oh, it was in July 30th?
Yeah, well, no. June 30th. It was July 30th, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep. So they have plenty of time as far as the contract's concerned.
Do you want me to just sign these? Are these okay?
Ed, those are, unless you, do you have originals or should she just sign the ones that you handed
Oh,
out?
whichever. I didn't have our signature on it yet.
Okay, I'll just do these two and approval. Okay, anything else, Paul?
Nothing for me either.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I did advertise for bids to, put the walls up on the shop. They're due end of this week. And I put an ad in the paper for that, 'cause I don't know how well the carpenters are in town.
Okay.
Did you put ads in the paper for the cement work also? You did.
But I did send out, I mailed out 7, 8 different contractors. Only got 2 back.
Yeah, you send me those two.
Actually, I don't. Yeah, I have one of our approval officers sign.
Okay, we need to send it to you then?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
Okay. So you'll get the engineering order back in the mail then, when you sign it. Okay. We'll move into new business, because our equalization meeting did not start until 9:30. Discussion on the 2017 budget and wages.
The question I have there is it okay if I contract with Tanya again at $75 an hour to do a pay scale, because that's the number one question everybody has. You know, we have a pay scale, but to do the step increase and then whatever the cost of living is right now, or what it's estimating to be for 2017, because it'd be next year's budget. If the board's okay with that, or how do you want to handle the wage portion? Because once we start adding on the budget, that's the number one question.
From the department head.
Correct.
And that's from a standpoint of looking at the CPI or whatever the index is and seeing what everybody should progress up the scale and stuff like that.
Right.
Same thing as she's been doing for us for quite a few years.
We're not looking at doing a full-scale salary survey, just,
No, this is just she'll review.
yeah,
where
just
we're at
review where
now.
we're at, and then move up the steps.
Correct.
Give us an overview of cost of living increases, and just give us kind of a spreadsheet like we saw last year, but without any new changes on the salary survey.
I have a motion to have Elizabeth contract with Tanya Bailey for the services of wage increases.
I'll say. What kind of time frame we should plan to have it done in? Or you already talked to her yet?
Not yet. I would like for you guys to do that, anything else that you're.
Okay, that's the first guy I had.
What did we spend on that last year?
I think she didn't charge us, it was like $150, it wasn't very much. But overall, I'd have to look back on the budget.
Yeah,
She's working
wasn't
in several
much.
counties, so I mean, it's like we get the advantage of visual and study for all the other counties as well.
That's correct.
well, we paid her more last year because we did more of a full scale survey too, not just this.
Right, because some of those increases were to get on par with the rest of the state, is that correct?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
so does she have a fairly standard process in terms of, are we just gonna be looking at cost of living, or are we gonna be looking at 2% plus the cost of living, like different options, or?
I think what she does is she reviews like the job service, the Association of Counties. There's several reports that she reviews and sees where, like for instance, it states as attorney's position, the paralegals, and see where they're at, and then she goes by the scale, and then they might go up a step, plus the 2%, whatever the cost of living is going to be.
At the last association of counties meeting, we only had 1 or 2 counties left for, come in with the salary survey, so
Okay.
it should be done by now, and that could be a valuable thing. I'm
Okay.
sure Tanya will look at that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Then we have a request for approval of the state rate, over the state rate for the auditor and the treasurer's conference, which is in Belcourt.
And it is $90 a night. So I might be staying one night. I'm not sure if Lisa decided how many she's staying. It might be 1 or 2. I haven't seen the agenda yet, so I'm waiting for that.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And did everybody get a copy of the letter to the Brockett City? This is just pretty much for our information. I saw they were 28th on the priority list, so they weren't approved. The money wasn't there to approve much of anything, even though theirs was very small, a very small amount. Everybody get a copy of that letter? Okay. I know I read it, I just didn't see it.
It was on the packet.
Yeah, it was in the packet somewhere, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think we need to do anything other than review the fact that it was not approved for funding. And And then there's the letter from the state health department, it's about a 5-page letter, did everybody get a copy of that? That is from the, random site inspections from, the state health department over at the North Dakota Bean facility. I found it interesting that the only kind of site that they do is visual. There's no such thing as they don't have any equipment as far as measuring the amount of particulate matter in the air. It just can't be over 40%.
Yeah, it's a visual 40%.
It's a visual 40%, so,
Yeah, I noticed that as well, and I was wondering, since we're in the middle of the comprehensive plan and the zoning and all of our ordinances, is it something that we need to look at since we have no way to enforce a parts per million on an industrial site or something? Maybe that's something we need to look at changing if we can't enforce it. Doesn't make sense to write zoning ordinances on something we can't enforce.
yeah.
Right there, who has the equipment to?
Well, that's the thing, we don't, the state doesn't either.
If the state doesn't.
I mean, I suppose the EPA might, if you wanted to call them in, I suppose, but I know, but I'm just saying, if we, it just doesn't make sense to try to tell someone, we're gonna ask you to do this, but have no way to check that we're asking them to do that. I'm just.
Yeah, I know, I think your point, Adam,
Well, that's what I was wondering too, and I spoke with them I spoke with Dave Glad on the phone at length about it, and
I guess I'm just kinda surprised that
We've
the
got
state
really-
doesn't have that capability either. Either that or they just haven't used that capability. And maybe it's just in this particular circumstance, they can't, maybe the equipment doesn't.
well, I was,
do flour or something.
I was assured that it was, that they were well-trained in determining what was 40%. You did notice that they specifically stated that they should work on several different areas, putting the cover over for when they're loading trucks, putting the cover over for when they're loading train cars and so on and so forth, and to make sure that they offer to compensate for damage and matter on private property. So I guess that's where we're sitting with it. I don't know if we need to make any other recommendations, but the people in Curry have stated that it is a lot better, but I don't know, I think you're right, Adam, I think maybe we need to look at whether or not we need to adopt a policy, and if we have to go out of state to get the type of equipment that would require use if we want more studying done. They are going to go back for unannounced visits several times. They've been there, I believe, 3 times since the
That's what it's true. And I'm not suggesting we throw the baby out with the bathwater immediately. Maybe there's private companies that do that kind of thing if you needed to get a test done or something, I don't know. But it's just something that came to my mind that we should probably discuss or at least mention to Jeff, since he's chairing the planning commission on the comprehensive plan, that maybe they should have that discussion. Just to look at it, because we're updating all the zoning at this point in time.
And we certainly can, there might be some industrial sites in Fargo or Cass County or Clay County, which, he's very familiar with those.
Yeah.
That, that would be useful for us to take a look at and see if they work here.
Are you talking about Dave Glatno, or are you talking about Alan, or?
No, you're
Jeff and
you're just talking about
KLJ's representative.
industrial zoning on a whole, basically.
On the comprehensive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, maybe how other political subdivisions have written their zoning policies for, and I'm sure KLJ's got a pretty good handle on that since they've done multiple comprehensive plans.
You're just talking for air quality?
Well, just the regular zoning, because I mean, I don't have it in front of me immediately, but our zoning currently states you have to have a certain noise restriction in terms of decibel level, you have to have a certain restriction in parts per million of,
And if nobody's
I
gonna,
don't even know what the technical
if
term
the
is,
state
but-
can't tell us what parts per million are other than lower than 40% visual acuity, it's not,
Yeah, maybe it makes sense to write the zoning standards with the visual acuity instead of parts per million in the air, if there's no way to test that. That's all I'm trying to.
But we
Find
should,
out if there's a way to test it.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying, we
let's
need to do
talk
some
to-
research.
Let's talk to Alan.
Maybe Alan can do the research.
Yeah, our district health administrator should, or the environmental engineer there should probably be.
KLJ, all
KLJ
those
can help us
zoning
with that.
plan, let's have them check.
Well, if you've already got a county organization that handles that, it might be good just to start there.
Well, yeah, was my thought, that we start with the health department, because that's where we started with whether or not there was a zoning violation.
A lot of times when they do those airborne things, they actually have a hoop and they throw it on the ground, and when they look to see what was coming out of the air, they landed on the ground or on a vehicle or something like that, so. What do they do to test for the 40%?
Yeah.
Depends on what's windy, they have from North Dakota. I don't know, we should find out, we're writing ordinances that. We capture water, we don't have equipment to test it,
no, that's
why
right.
put that in the ordinance if we can't test it?
Yeah, if we
Sorry.
can't do anything with it.
There should be a description on how you come up with the 40%. They should have it.
And it's just legal.
Let's go back to it. Paul, can you tell me if KLJ is involved in this zoning and planning? They are, right?
Or working on
Updating things to that.
but
I would still want to leave it up to KLJ to find out if this equipment is usable or if it's available, and how do you test with it? Because I'm sure we'll ask the Lake Region Health and we'll have
Yeah.
I don't know, so let's have your people, as long as you're getting paid to put this together, let's have you look into it and see who else is using this.
yeah, I guess I don't know if we were, I think that was something that would have been separate from the comprehensive plan. You know,
Let's find out.
something new.
Let's find
We
out.
can look into it and give you some idea what to do next.
Yeah, it never hurts to get, talk to multiple different people and see, ask KLJ, ask district health, and just try
Well,
to see if we can find an answer. Do some consulting.
Possibly the applicable rules for the state should be adapted into the comprehensive plan. And they're all outlined in one of the letters.
Grand Forks would have a policy in place if anybody would because of the flower.
The flower limit.
That's a good point.
Well, maybe you can talk with Alan about that. Yeah, as part of the comprehensive plan. Okay. Any other discussion on the dry-bean facility? And next we go to approval of site authorizations, and there are some additional ones on your desk, I believe.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
I
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Report on portfolios. Ed?
I missed the last social service meeting. Rhonda's here, though, let's have a report from Rhonda, how's that? That put me on the spot, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Things are going along well. We had a retirement in Candy, so we're staffing that office with available. We're not hiring, we're just staffing with available staff filling in. Kind of an exciting thing, the Association of Counties sent out a letter regarding some requests for grants for shortages in addiction counseling as related to people incarcerated, and Rob Johnson and I have been meeting, and so we're gonna put together a proposal and ask the commission and probably the city commission to support that. We are just beginning, we met for the first time last Friday, so that's pretty exciting. I think we could be considered for a site by Heartview for some telemedicine addiction treatment, which is exciting and kind of cutting edge. Other states are using that as far as having computer operated addiction aftercare. We really struggle with keeping addiction counselors, and I don't know what the staffing is at the Human Service Center. That's the state agency, which is kind of the only gig in town for folks. So they struggle. I think Heartview has moved into the Can-Do area, and they're looking to, with the consensus council, provide some services regarding that. So Rob and I are pretty excited about that. Meeting next week with the school to work on, again, a pretty exciting thing that social services or juvenile court for that matter has never really partnered in Devils Lake with the school like they have in other communities. So this is a first time adventure. I know Ed and Myrna know about this from listening to me. I'll say brag about it a little bit. So we're going to be using out of school suspension. We're going to be using our in-home workers to do some work with the families because right now they're just suspended and they go home. Now they're going to be at a tenant care. We're going to use that site. We got a grant to pay the workers to use the tenant care, and then we'll have a family engagement piece and also the restorative justice, which is another grant that we were lucky enough to get last spring also. So the restorative justice piece is having kids take a look at, and for adults too, having kids take a look at how they make things right in the community with what they've done, repairing, so relationships, etc., which we have not. The elementary schools here have a program by a lady named Carol DeWecker that's similar to restorative justice, but never really embodied, restorative justice has never really gotten going in North Dakota, or in Devils Lake as it is in other parts of North Dakota in the schools, so we're pretty excited. We meet with Dr. Schlenker next week about that, so. We had less people on fuel assistance this year by 18, which was interesting, and I think it was just because prices were low. And I can't think of anything else unless someone has some specific questions. Okay.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Senior meals, I guess I missed that meeting too, I'm sorry, but law enforcement, I got to that one. And the director, Tom Riley, has resigned. We've opened up the advertisement for that position. We'll see how that goes. Steve Nelson was here. He's been put in as intern director for the time being. And let's have a report from Steve. That'll take me out for work then.
Everything's moving along. We did get that survey or that inspection results back, so we're working on the issues that they had, and we're well on our way to implementing a lot of things that are a lot of them are already addressed. But so things are going very well.
Okay. Guess you've heard everything from me.
We see the airport, we continue to set records every month on our airport boardings, and SkyWest has accepted the offer to continue the air service to Devils Lake, so I think everything but the ink is on the paperwork for that, so we're hoping that the improvements to our parking lot are going to hold up, but if not, we'll fix those, get those a little bit better, a little bit wider. Of course, North Central Planning Council, I think everybody got a letter on that they're having this stakeholders meeting for the strategic plan, and with all the changes in the federal government and the monies that come down, we thought it was time for us to take a look at how we do our planning stuff. So that'll be on the 20th at 10 a.m. and anybody's invited to that as well. Maybe not all in participation, rather, but see what's going on. Otherwise, we'll be giving a report on that at the next, after that meeting, next portfolio reports.
So is this a separate comprehensive plan that North Central Planning does? This isn't our Ramsey counties?
No, it's not Ramsey County, it's just a plan that they come up with North Central Planning Council as to how the board of directors and the executive board want Sandy to go ahead, move ahead with some of the changes that are being made in that area. And Dakota Prairie Community Action, there's not much difference going on there really. Out doing audits, energy audits and stuff on homes and getting homes brought up to speed, and not much changes there, so. Ramsey County Highway Department running along smoothly, and I don't have anything from the Association of Counties other than the President's Tours meeting here on the 30th, so anybody that can make that. And I think the executive director is gonna be here, and Aaron Burst, and Mike Johnson is the executive director, so. And they might have one other person come. And that's a strategic, something that we put into the strategic plan, that they would come around and visit every county. And as you well know, there's over 50 counties, so it takes them a little while. They can usually only get about a half a dozen or a dozen of them done every year. And Ramsey County hasn't been done for a while, so I did let Roger know, so he'll, I'm sure he sees it.
Reserve the meeting room.
Get the lawn fixed and whatever he needs to do to. But Roger does a fine job, and everybody makes comments continuously on how he keeps this building up, so. But I know he likes to know about stuff, so.
It's a good place to do some lobbying for
Yep.
monies or something like
Yep,
that.
if anybody can make it to the meeting, if we have any special interest or anything, they'll gladly take those home, bring them up at the next association county meeting, so. That's all I have.
Adam?
The recorder's office has been kind of quiet. They got all of their packets, documents that we approved a couple meetings ago to do the reformatting project on the previous scanning project sent off, so that is underway. Don't know how long it's going to take to get done, but pretty much the work on their side of the job is done, so hopefully it'll come back and be a quality project when it's finished. It's been fairly busy in there, but you know, just constant people coming in to record documents. They said they're doing a lot of passports for some reason. Apparently people are thinking about winter again already, or people are forgetting that they need their passports for summer travel and they're expediting them, I don't know. Treasurer's office, things seem to be going along fairly smoothly. They're working on some property tax liens, I guess, on mobile homes and things like that right now. Some of the 2-year-old stuff that hasn't been paid. I missed the county housing authority meeting, being May was kind of a month that we had a farming. But we actually, through email, got some secondary numbers on or some updated numbers on the possibility of doing the apartments complexes that we've been looking at. No decisions have been made, just an update on the numbers, and I think we're going to have some of the lenders come in and talk to us at the next meeting and have a more thorough discussion about what the plan will be, or if we're going to move forward or not. Chamber meeting, I missed that as well, being reforming. St. Paul is here. Anything exciting happened at the chamber meeting that I missed?
Well, thanks. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the community, to city, county, everybody for Devil's Run, as you know, was this last weekend, and it was a great success. So I want to thank everybody for that. Stan stopped by our office yesterday, and I think just approximately the number he gave us for cars was about 860 that he thought we had. So I think it turned out to be a great event, as it is every year. So just a thank you for that. For our chamber, our Rib Fest, it's the first one we're having this year. It's turning out to be a huge success. We have several sponsors. We're over 1,000 in sponsorships. We're limiting it to 20 as far as what we want to take in for participants in our Rib Fest. We have a little over 10 right now, so if you're interested in being somebody cooking ribs for us, I think it's something that is going to be a great event for our downtown for Real Fun Days, and that's June 25th. So you can contact the chamber for that. That's a new event for us this year during Real Fun Days. Fishing tournament, June 24th, 25th. We're doing some great stuff for our 40th this year. And we're up on our registrations this year for that too, so that's coming up. Our motor vehicle department is rolling out a new our new computer system for motor vehicles. So we'll be closing Friday at noon, and then the new system is rolling out on Monday. And they should be getting a press release out on that. So that's some of the new stuff coming out on the chamber.
Okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Other than that, I guess I'll have one more.
Mark?
Now, the Heritage Center, our director is doing a fantastic job. Our visitors are up. She's just doing a great job over there. We already heard from Kristen this morning, so there's not a lot to say there. She keeps me apprised of what she's up to and everything that's happening. And then Steve Nelson back there with the Sheriff's Department / Law Enforcement Center we heard from earlier. But I would like Steve to tell the commission the progress on the search and rescue and the savings that he had found for the county on some of the items that he's gotten cemented in, so to speak. So,
Well, if you've driven by the county shop, you can see that they've done most of the groundwork. All the sewer and the water and the power lines are already trenched in. The forms are up, so they're ready to pour. I'm assuming we're waiting on the weather now for it to dry up a little bit for them to pour the slab. The next, according to the city, they're waiting to see an engineer plan from the building. That's all they're waiting on now for they just have to, it's a kit building, so they have to just get the engineering from, and then they approve it or for whatever questions they have. So we're pretty well on track, I think, with that. I did contact Strata, and they did authorize to reduce our bill by about $7,500 for concrete. So, you know, that was quite a nice donation back, if you want to call it. And then I did talk with Mr. Gleason as well, and he said he would pass it along, you know, with it through his bidding process. So we saved quite a bit of money from being able to do that. So it's moving along. So any questions on the rest of that? Or I don't.
Do you have a idea of a move-in date?
No, but at our first meeting with Mr. Gleason, he wanted it up by July 4th was his date, and I think that's a little ambitious, but we're hoping by September 1 is my goal, to have a move-in date by the time we get electrical and, you know, all the other things accomplished here this summer yet. But, you know, we're definitely want to be in there before it gets cold. So October would be the latest, but I'm hoping that by the end of the summer, I think, you know, the building's here, it's in pieces there. So once it gets going, I don't think it would take long to get it up, and then it's just a matter of finishing out the insides with the electrical and the, you know, the heating, the whole floor heating and all that, getting that all just finished up.
I might add, I did see a set of plans for the, engineered plans for the building, so they're floating around, it's just a matter of getting it set.
It's just getting it set up and approved. So.
The way that's sitting in there, which way are the doors gonna be?
The doors will face to the east.
Yeah, they are gonna be to the east.
Yep.
Okay. That's the only way you can fit it in, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah, because the original thought, with my understanding, was it was gonna be to the south.
Well, yeah, that was discussed, and then
So then we're just gonna have to have, search and rescue will have to have keys to get into the main entrance then.
Correct. Well, we're working on an issue with the gate that we could also help with.
Do an automatic gate or something like that.
Yeah, so it'll be either a keypad or.
I mean, we trust search and rescue obviously, so it's not that big of a deal.
But the problem is coming in and out of that facility, you know, like if they're coming, you know, we get a rescue call after hours, you know, are they gonna shut the gate because we need to maintain the security for Kevin's equipment as well as everything else? You know, so the last guy out stop and close the gate, and then they, you know, so that's the kind of issue we're working on, to make sure there, you know, that we have some security there still yet for the county shop as well as, for, you know, I have a gate. So we're working on those issues, so.
That's something that can be figured out.
Yeah.
We've got pretty good equipment in place out at the airport, Steve. If you want to talk to John Nord about
Yeah.
it, he just pushes a button and drives right through. So.
Yeah, there are those systems to it, just a matter of which one and we're still kind of holding off to see what costs are and where we're at, because we don't want to go too far. You know, we want to make sure we have enough to take care of what we need to right initially.
Well, maybe the $7,500 you saved from Strata could go for electronic keys.
Well, that's already kind of earmarked for something else.
How did I know that?
Well, we initially took off the pad that would go out in front, which is 20 feet. So that $7,500, I think, would be to make sure we add that, because I think that's a needed, you know, so they have an area to park on without being on gravel before they go in the building. They also have a place where they can wash off vehicles outside, and it's not in the building. So we're gonna add that 20-foot apron onto the front of the building. I think that'd probably be money better spent at this point for that.
When's the next search and rescue meeting? Any idea?
It'll be the next third Tuesday.
for the Tuesday
at 5:30.
of June.
And usually it's in conjunction with the next commission meeting.
Oh, so it's at the same time?
Yeah,
When you come down?
usually at 5:30, usually at job service.
Maybe there'd be an opportunity for them to come and meet with us and.
I'm sure we can arrange that.
That might be nice to have.
You want just the direct, the head guys?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mention it to them, see if they could fit that in
they could probably, I'm sure we can arrange that for the next meeting if you'd like.
Anything else, Mark?
No, I
I
just,
have one more thing.
Okay.
Since Rhonda was mentioning it about attendant care, it's up and running and it's doing well. Actually impressed with with Sydney, she's doing very well.
Thank you.
We did have an issue, we're having discussions, and I'm sure she's talked with Rhonda, but she's talked with me about, I know Adam, we talked about having a surveillance system put in to protect our workers. She did get some numbers, it's right around the $2,000 mark, which is a little, but I think between Rhonda and myself, with our two departments, I think we're gonna cover the cost of that. Plus, she did contact Lisa Johnner with the Association of Counties, who's in charge of the grant money, and she said she would also help with some, whatever funding we couldn't cover, so, we're just gonna go ahead and move on that, because I think it's an important part of that, for everybody involved when they're dealing with the juveniles, that we have some protection for our workers as well as everybody else, so, just so you know we're moving forward with that. She got bids from the home company and, Lakeside Lock and Key were the two that she got, and one was 18, I think the other one was 22, something like that, so we're right around that $2,000 mark, so. But between Rhonda and I, and then we're gonna work it out, and I think it's going ahead. So, just so the commission's aware that we're working on that.
If I could just add, Steve, Cody Glendy has done an excellent job. She's kind of taken it and ran with it. She's gotten 15 attendants. She's also working on getting someone to be on call so that she's not on call all the time. So it's a good project because it's hard to be on call all the time. So just really impressed with her, what she's done with that. We're up and ready to go, so.
And she's doing very well, so we're doing well.
Well, from the bills I just signed, it looks like it's been in use
Yes,
several times, and
Right.
I noticed that we had 0 transfers to the juvenile facility and Grand Forks, so.
We're still gonna have those.
yeah.
Well,
but
of course, yeah.
Not, but
But
yeah, it's nice to have that
I
option.
think maybe that it's nice, think maybe having that option is maybe
It is.
helped.
I also, just, I'm sorry if I could add, I think that we're gonna see, and I hope not, but I think the reality of the situation with trafficked young women and men, we're gonna see our use go up. I think as our law enforcement officers are trained and better able to recognize that, it's definitely here, it's definitely happening, and we will have increased young men and women in they're not appropriate for jail, as you know, that changed. North Dakota legislature changed it from a crime for young people, so they are being viewed as, victims and neglected children, so they would be in our attendant care facility also.
Very short term, because there's a group out of Fargo that has established foster care, shelters for them throughout the state to get these victims places where they can get the adequate counseling and or services that they might need, more so than attendant care, but attendant care might be a short-term thing until we can get them to get here and so.
And that's the program that our social service board was very far-sighted and put money into to pay into that grant, the human trafficking grant, Melanie Heitkamp's grant, and so we are served by them, and they've done really well. They've come out here, we're having another meeting, and so those traffic victims take a lot of resources. So we're happy that they're here, and we have been a partner in that. So Steve's been to those meetings, which is very nice. He's been the lone law enforcement official from our area who's came, so thank you, Steve.
We've also had my whole office has been through their training. We had them in last week. So all my deputies have been through the training they have to for the pick up on the signs, and then I'm working on the police department to get them. They're on the board to get on there too. So we're moving ahead very well with it. So
Probably one question I'd like to ask you, what does Lisa John think of the whole program? How do you think it's going? Are we doing the right thing?
She's very, very impressed.
Yeah.
She's real happy with it. I think that compared to not having any attendance and struggling along, Steve was kind of the lone ranger and tried to keep that going. I think it's really come along. She's very impressed.
Thank you.
Nothing but good things from Lisa as far as we're going, so I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And I know Sydney is in contact with her quite a bit to make sure that we're on the right track, and they're sharing information about what other entities are doing, so they're sharing policies and procedures and updating ours, so yeah, it's moving along very well, I think.
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, I guess that leaves me, social services has pretty much been covered. And we have Rachel Ramsey here from Forward Devils Lakes. I'm gonna ask her to, share a little of what we've been working on at our exec meetings and our full board meeting.
Probably the biggest thing has been the housing project that Adam mentioned. They had previously requested to have 24 units. They sent in a second application and were approved through North Dakota Housing Finance Agency for 2 24-unit apartment buildings. So that just went to City Commission last night to get approval on that one. So they did approve a second letter of intent. So they are gonna proceed on that. It's not a done deal yet, but they're working on getting all the qualifications that they need for North Dakota Housing Finance Agency requirements. So hopefully we'll see that. The city's portion is going to be in regards to a TIF district, so it doesn't actually cost the city anything. And then we've been working on childcare a little bit. There's been some developments in that, but nothing that can be released at this point. But so hopefully we can see some movement on there. I know Jody Peck has been quite busy with some additional applications sitting on her desk, so hopefully some of those can get pushed through the state. And
It's the background checks.
it's just, it's so disturbing as to what's holding it up. We have such a shortage in our community, as any community in North Dakota, and we have people wanting to open daycares and they can't because the state is slow on the approving the paperwork piece of it. So I think Jody's comment to us was that she's got more applications on her desk than what she's seen in the past in a long time, and so we're hopeful that those can get approved and we can see influx in daycare positions open here in town. Had a tour at SNS Childcare this last week, and everything is going great there with their new facility. We asked them about staffing. They have not been having an issue trying to get staffing, and so that has always been a concern with most businesses in Devils Lake is the staffing piece. So that was a positive to hear that piece, but we're just gonna keep plugging away. Childcare is definitely a focus for Forward Devils Lake in 2016. It's a significant need here, so we'll keep on plugging away. Any questions for me?
I'm just gonna add that the Alter Green situation is in negotiation. There's been a lawsuit filed. We're waiting on offers and counter offers, and litigation has begun to collect from Dakota Oil Refinery on the cost of the due diligence. So that's where we're at with both of them. No, this isn't under any portfolio, but there was a meeting about the helicopter port being put in behind the hospital. That was disapproved. They, I believe, have been offered an alternative site out at the airport for about the same cost. The citizens of the area protested out having an airport hangar and fuel, 8,000 gallon fuel tank there. And they felt it was way too much for a high residential area. So that has been, that's where we're at with that. Haven't had a district health meeting, everything seems to be going well there. I think that's all I have. And As far as announcements, we've already talked about the Association of Counties Presidents Tour on June 30th at 10:30 in the basin of the courthouse. And I'm hoping that as many department heads as possible can be there. And, you know, Kevin, maybe you could send Brent instead, or something of that nature. And so that we can have a good representation of all of our departments at that meeting, as well as our commissioners. And it is a good time to brainstorm with the Association of Counties. They do an awful lot of lobbying for us at the legislature, and it's good to have them have a finger on the pulse of what's going on in our community. They know what we need, where we're at, what we need, and can help us with the availability or lack of availability of state funding. And is there anything else to come before the board? I'm going to recess until 9:30 when we will have the county equalization meeting. And we will come back into session again to discuss Rex Mento's speed study results on the Highway 2 East project. We are in recess. Thank you. Okay, we'll reconvene as the Ramsey County Board of County Commissioners. I would request a motion to adjourn and then reconvene as the Board of County Tax Equalization.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carried. Please note that Elizabeth Black, the County Tax Director, and Gary Martinson, the Devils Lake City Assessor, are present at this meeting. I would now like to have you look at the city assessments. And I would entertain a motion to approve the city assessments as presented, including the city of Devils Lake. Of note, the proposed residential property increase is 9% to comply with state regulations, and commercial property to increase at 5% to comply with state regulations.
Gary, is residential pretty much going up statewide?
Yeah, I believe it is. Everybody we've talked to, residential continues to climb. Last year, we didn't go up quite as much. We took 5% of everything over 100,000, and we probably should have done more. That's why our sales ratio value this year, the percentage was on residential was only 82.7%. That's why we had to go a full 9 this year on everything to get it up above 90%. The state allows us that 10% from 90 to 100.
So the city actually had been running below 90 then?
Yeah, when we did our sales ratio study for 2015, comparing what we valued it at versus what they sold for the properties, and we had a record number of sales. We had a lot of sales last year. We came out at 82.7%. So 90 will get, if we do the 9% total, it'll get us at about 91.7. Gives you a little fudge for error. I mean, it is a lot of numbers you put together and a lot of it's estimates.
In the commercial, you raised that 5%?
Yeah, our sales ratio on our commercial's a little hard to judge. We don't have a lot of sales, so we go back and use 3 years of sales and try and update them. And our sales ratio on that was 87.8, so at 5% we'll be right about that 92%. Kind of our goal.
That's within the state tolerance.
Yeah, 90 to 100%. The information that I sent over to Beth, the list of changes, the 3 pages, basically that's the notices we send out when we reappraise property at 3,000 or 15% or 10%. Basically, we have to send a notice. We sent out about 100 notices this year, which is quite a few. And that's what the 3 pages are. And then at the bottom, we talk about the 9% for residential increase in commercial. So these properties were probably, most of them were more than the 9%. Some may be new homes, some may be additions, some were reappraisals because of sales.
Were building permits up for the construction season?
It was about the same as, 2015 was pretty close to the same as 2014. It's up considerably from where it was. And, these last 3-4 years, the construction has been I don't know if you would like me to, there's a lot of TIF districts in here, those other pages. And I know Elizabeth loves TIF districts. We created a couple new ones this year. I'll just run through those quickly. Starts out with Elkhorn. Elkhorn is the subdivision out by the old Elks Club. That one's pretty well developed. Most of the additional changes that we had there were due to the 9% increase because it's pretty much all residential. So what you see there is in the changes. Other than the last one, that's a commercial property. That's was a new fourplex that was built out there at the 400 and some thousand. The next one is Agassiz. That's all of the LaFleur apartments and townhomes and stuff, the new construction that he's doing. As you can see, that went up about 1.5 million, so now we're at roughly 5.8 million for next year in that TIF district. It's all residential. Some is commercial because it's 8 plexes and the other are residential. Highland Park Estates and City Estates, that's up north. That's pretty well all developed already, not much left there. We added about 400,000 last year, so we're at about 3 million in that TIF district. Highland Park Estates, second sub, that's also up north. You'll see some lots continue. That was a newer one, so you'll see like the $500. That's the vacant lots that will still have to be developed. We had a couple new homes up there, and then we had some reappraisal of some existing stuff also. Stone Ridge is also up on the north end. That's a number of townhomes that were constructed a couple years ago and sold. You see we're finally filing those out, and then there's some new stuff, some townhomes going up there, another 600,000. Smith subdivision, 16th Street North Southeast is one of the new TIF districts. It's on the south end of town. Basically there's going to be a number of fourplex units, rental units, and some new single family lots down there. This district is a little bit different. Most of our TIF districts start out with almost just raw land, very low value, and that's what Elizabeth locks in, and then the increment is anything that goes on after that pays the bonds off. In this case, as you can see, this district starts out with a value of 2.6 million because there's a number of already developed homes that have been there for a number of years. And there's also a lot of new stuff in there. So really the increment for this year is the change of 385,000. Most of that is the 9% that went on the existing structures. So if there's an existing structure within the district, it locks in at that value for 2015, and then any change to it, including the reappraisal work, that's part of the increment. So it gets hard for Elizabeth to track, I know it does, because she's got to pull all this out and put it back in, and it's, I don't know. And then the last one is the Bernago's first sub. As you can see, the value was very low, 12,000. That was all vacant property that the Senex local farmers union developed into commercial lots. Lots 1 and 2, Senex had part of, these are part completions as of February 1st. So we had a value on the Farmers Union station and then a little bit on the cobblestone end. That will continue to develop. We'll finish off Farmers Union next year because it will be complete. We'll finish off the cobblestone and we'll have the new Burger King on here. So that district will be up in value considerably next year. The next page, I just put together a summary so that everybody gets an idea where they were at with all these TIF districts. It's just the totals for 2015 and 16 and the change. As you can see on the side note there, on the last columns, there's about 24.6 million right now in value in the TIF districts, which will come off slowly as each one is paid off and becomes part of the overall city value. Of that 19.7 million, so a big share of it is residential and 5 million is commercial. That's going to change somewhat as the Farmers Union subdivision develops. We'll see more commercial. As you can see, most of the TIF districts have been residential so far. And then our totals, basically overall, I'm estimating the city's total true and full value will go up about 7% this year with commercial and residential overall. Any questions I can answer for you, I'd be glad to.
I guess I'll make a motion to approve the city assessments as presented.
I'll second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. We will now go into approval of the value of townships contracted to the county for assessing as presented. And I will then, after Beth explains, I will entertain a motion to approve the values of all the townships that are contracted to the city.
You'll just notice the first pages are similar to what Gary provided. That's the list of changes that commercial or residential received notices. We had 33 tax equalization meetings that were available for people to come in, comment, or if they had questions on these changes or any changes. I also have for you the property exemptions, the homestead credit exemptions, and their disabled veterans exemptions to approve also for the county. As we've discussed in previous meetings, we touch each of our parcels individually and value them accordingly. Our sales ratio came in approximately 87.6 this year, so we did have to gain a little bit to be in compliance, but it wasn't a huge jump or any changes. Very similar to last year, actually, all the numbers. New construction, commercial and residential were surprisingly similar to the previous year. And our residential was a little bit more, we had a little bit more reassessment in our residential and commercial than the previous year, but otherwise very similar numbers to last year.
So what are we looking, or we're making a whole move at a certain percentage on all properties, or just one for one then?
We look at each property individually. And what we do is, we just try to equalize them within our software, how we have them inputted, and so we can get all the values to where they should be.
So just by moving one form, we're gonna be able to make it to the 90% to be within the
Yes, we'll be
study then?
over the 90%,
Okay.
yes. Some, need a couple percent increase, and some might not change at all.
Okay.
What was the most percentage increase that you go up at any particular property?
If it wasn't on the list of changes here, it would be at 9%, 9.9, under 10%.
You did move some 9?
Yeah.
And some didn't get moved at all?
Right, and some maybe decrease as you, but those would, actually the decreases are on your list also.
So does the list of increases or increases, new changes, and have any of the farm homes that would have been assessed? Or are we waiting to put those on until next year as a whole, or how are we gonna treat those?
We were waiting to get a list, we'll add all of them at the same time.
Okay.
And you guys will make kind of a decision at that time when and how to put
Yeah,
it
I just wanted to clarify that we haven't added any until the commission makes a decision on how we're gonna do
for
it.
this year.
Very good, thank you.
When we make the decision, then how many farm homes will be on added?
I can't say for sure, but we have a list currently of 141 homes to measure. Now, when we get out to those, maybe some have not filed their paperwork properly, or, we might find some different reasons why some may not be added. They just didn't get everything in on time, they didn't do it accurately. When we get out there, we'll know more, but we have a list of 141 that we need to visit this summer.
You need to visit with?
Yeah, we need to go out, measure, that's, at this point, they're
How many
showing.
do you have on for this paying tax year, what we paid on?
We haven't added any, we'll add them all together for that. For this
So you
year,
didn't even add the people that came in and said, I'm not eligible?
no, they will all be added with
At the same
everything
time?
that, since I've taken over the farm residence exemption, I haven't added mine. There were the two, yours was added in last year's, not
Okay.
2016.
That's what I wanted,
Yeah.
made plain to the media.
To the record, for the record.
That was last year's
I believe that
tax
that
equalization.
Commissioner Lypons was also added.
Yes.
Well, mine was added, I was just always paying. I never qualified for an exemption, so.
Oh, okay. Well, so because I know there were some questions out there in the public. And
I never
so I
qualified
just
for an
wanted to
exemption, I've been
clarify
paying,
that.
ever since I bought my house, I've been paying, so.
Okay. How about our other small cities? Where are they in this whole plan?
As far as how the assessments went for it?
How the assessments went for like Lawton, Brockett, Edmore, Starkweather?
We go through and if there's any changes we added. Edmore had some new construction this year, which was the.
And are they listed on the Ramsey County changes here?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know what these.
Right, you don't know, yeah. They Edmore had, especially Edmore had some new construction. They had a new storage garage, commercial garage, and some other smaller things in the residential added. There were some changes, I know, on some of the smaller Lawton, Brockett. They've had some homes that have been demolished or burnt due to the
They've been condemned, yeah.
Maybe we'll see a few more in the future, it sounds like.
So, yeah, I see those two demolitions there. Oh, a little new construction. Okay.
So do we want to treat 2A and B separately then, on motions?
So we'll approve the value townships contract to the county for assessing as presented?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve values of the township contract with the county for assessing as presented.
Second.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. I will now entertain a motion to approve the total list of exemptions for homestead credit, disabled veterans, and blind exemptions, and property tax exemptions. As presented.
No, we just did A.
I make a motion that we approve, motion to approve values of townships that provide home assessments and data collectors whose values were approved by a certified assessor.
Second.
Did they present theirs yet?
Mike Beamer is here, Daryl Jamza is not. If you did have any questions for Mike.
Yes, I have presented that. We had our meeting, our township board did approve, and so on.
Okay.
We have several tax increases for our township in this new building. I felt that I have reviewed our homes as a certified township assessor, and hope that you go along with what I recommended. And since the fact we did get our residences increased substantially the last 2 years, I just do not feel that it's needed in Minnewacan Township.
And where are yours listed in here?
There are,
They're not listed separately, they're combined?
If there were,
And Myrna, I've really enjoyed working with the staff here at the county. They've just been a huge benefits. We have some communication to go yet as far as getting things entered on the computer, the software package, and one little slip, one little press of wrong button can make a huge difference in an evaluation, where I didn't use that in the past assessment.
So you feel it's a lot more accurate now?
It's getting there. No, it's not. No, our software, no. We have room to go, and that might be the data that the director is looking at. This home that I have assessed at, say, 200,000, may not be the same on the software.
what he's trying to explain is the townships or cities that we have always been assessing or in the past years, our data is quite accurate. This townships that we haven't had, we wouldn't have as accurate of data because we only have limited. And as we're going out to them, we're gaining more and he's bringing in more. So we can get, the correct measurements and the correct counts and different things like that. It's just something that when they were assessing, they weren't using our software, so it wasn't as detailed as what we have on file for all the townships and cities that we've had in the past. So we're working together to get all that accurate. So we'll continue to do that.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Brown to approve the value of townships that provide their own assessors and data collectors.
Second.
Second, I'll go out of second.
Yeah, I said.
Adam, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I missed that. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign, the motion carries. And I'm gonna stick, including the exemption, I'm going to put the exemptions that I mentioned earlier on to approve the values of the exemption.
She just wants the motion to approve the VA homestead credit
I'll
line
make a motion to
exemptions.
approve the exemptions.
Thank you.
Second.
So this is,
The list is on here,
the list, we're looking at this list.
right before the county starts, yeah.
Yes, line exemptions.
Seniors and disabled, property tax, disabled
Basically,
veterans and blind.
we've basically seen all of those during the year anyways.
Yeah, we've already approved them.
Through the abatement process or whatever,
Well, yeah.
all the changes in them.
These are all new ones,
Yeah.
so
These
like,
are all,
if you look at page, what she's talking about, there's, page 7, 8 is all the homestead, VA, blind exemptions, and exempt property, it's just a motion.
Okay,
Um,
but they've already been reviewed by
Yes,
more than
staff,
one
staff
individual.
review, yeah.
by the staff,
And they've been approved in past years, whereas you're
Yeah, carried.
you're just making a motion.
Yep.
so we have a motion and a second All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next we'll move down to the inundated land classification.
The inundated land for this year, there are actually a few less than last year. There are none that are new. They've all been approved in the past as far as those.
Motion to approve the inundated land classification.
I have a motion by Commissioner Mertens to. Is there any other discussion?
Do they have to file for that every year? Right.
Yes.
And then, so we looking at the maps every year to
Yes,
make sure
they-
that they're not regaining land.
Right.
Yeah.
And that may be why they're less this
Yeah,
year.
that's kind of what I assumed, just to clarify.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Then we have the Soils Committee recommendations on ag land values.
Move to approve.
Second.
Beth,
Yes,
some of those corrections were made on that we discussed in soils.
yes, yeah.
Anyway.
Is there any other discussion on the Soils Committee recommendations? And of note, if they have received large lump sum payments through WRP or wetland mitigation in the past, they did not receive a favorable tax status. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Next, I will entertain a motion to approve the ag land value increase by 2% to comply with the estimated increase of 7% provided by the Office of the State Tax Commission.
And that is up for discussion with you. In the past, you have tried to keep the assessments around the 95%. There is a 10% allowance, and the 2% would get you to that.
To the 95.
To the 95.
So we're 93 current.
92 points.
What did we use last, Beth? What did we use last year?
As far as.
What percentage?
The 95, yes.
95?
I'll make a motion to accept the 2% to go to the 93.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. And that concludes our tax equalization board meeting. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment from the, go ahead.
Just a quick question, if individuals want to appeal, is that a separate meeting now?
I don't know the answer to
Well,
that.
so Mr. Brown has a question, I guess.
Well, I guess, my taxes went up, and I don't remember anybody coming out and saying when the lake was coming up and taking my property that we're gonna have a meeting because we're gonna lower your taxes. Now that I'm building out there, I've already got the first nail pounded, and I get a notice that my taxes are going up. So what's the balance here?
It's a little challenging without having any of my notes since we have over 12,000 some parcels, but I think truthfully, Mr. Heisler did not attend the township equalization meeting, so this is the first that I've heard of this. So I don't know that it's the discussion to be had at this meeting. I'm definitely willing to work with him in the office. Off the top of my head, I believe that he had a foundation put in, and we went out and measured that and added some value for the foundation, but I'd have to look at my notes to see exactly what was put in. But that would be what the change was for.
Did you also take in consideration that the township turned the access road into a low maintenance road? I mean, that certainly can't raise the value of my property.
I think, and like I said, we would have had to have discussed this at the township. They were the ones that we have. It has to be discussed through the township at this point. But we can go in and work.
Okay,
It's
so
just
you
not
want
at
me
the
to
county.
stop by your
You
office?
certainly can,
Okay.
yes, and then I can contact them. It has to go through the township equalization meeting, and then they make a decision and it can then come to the county. Otherwise, it would have to go through the abatement process.
You want me to?
But-
Increase tax? Yeah.
Just asking if he did receive a notice of increase, so.
And that notice stated the date and time of the
So
township
the township,
meeting.
Well, it says we will be bidding for it.
The letter says you can contact the assessor or the boards of equalization, which includes this board meeting. So I feel he's within his rights to be able to question it here.
The notice that we use,
who sent the letter?
our office sent all the
You sent-
notices out.
You sent the letter?
And we use a form that's provided to us by the state of North Dakota. And that is the century code on how you go to the township board meeting first.
What township are we in here? Creel?
But like I said, I have no problem working with him and discussing it and seeing if you have any questions and that. But it probably has to go through an abatement process if it was, can't happen at this.
And is that in conjunction with the city? Is that extraterritorial, or is the city in charge of that?
Yeah, it said within our extraterritorial, so we would have issued the building permits, and that's all we do, and then we have no authority over valuing or taxation, it's, or
That's-
roads, it's basically we
That's the
just.
township assessor.
Yeah. And Beth's writing the procedure, that's why you send out a notice of increase, just to say you come in and talk to the assessor prior to the meetings, or come to the township meeting and then to the county meeting. There's a chain where you start at the lowest, shouldn't say the lowest level of government, but it is the township and then the county and the state.
The
So
most
the
local.
percent goes most local level.
Most local.
Yeah, so you proceed through that chain, and if you haven't proceeded through that, there's always an abatement process where if the assessor and the homeowner can't come to an agreement on something, or convince them that that's what it should be, we can file an abatement process, and that starts a hearing process.
Yeah, and if you want to use the normal process, you have to appeal to the township before you appeal to the county, before you appeal to the state,
Yes.
otherwise the state won't hear it if you.
Yeah.
Either.
So we have to get the vote for this. Who does Creel's assessing that?
We do.
You do, okay. And who's supposed to hand out the building permit for Ron then, or?
The city.
Gary.
We would have granted them a building permit, yes.
Wow.
It is kind of messy.
And you got,
I
you got the
understand
township
what
there
it's-
with the most jurisdiction. And they get to say yes or no, the township board, right?
As far as for his assessment
For
question,
the building permit.
for the building permit,
No.
no, the
No,
city.
the
That's done through the
city,
city.
they have extraterritorial rights.
That's the city. It is confusing as a citizen, it's confusing to know who should go first, I would agree with that. Yeah,
We try to put stuff out in the paper about the extraterritorial and I mean, it's worked, we've been doing it now for 10, 15 years, and I think the process has worked for the permit part of it. And we let people know that, we're not the assessors out there, that we're the building inspectors and the zoning people that you're dealing with. We dealt with Ron, got him a permit, and we've been inspecting as he's been going along.
so as an advisement, we'd advise you to go back to the township board and talk with the township board in conjunction with their assessor, who is Beth, so I would think you would be fine to go to Beth after the meeting and talk with her about where you're at and what you're doing. Okay?
Sounds good.
Do you have any other questions, Ron? Okay. Is there anything else to come before the board on tax equalization for Ramsey County? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn as the Board of Equalization and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners at 10:04 a.m.
First of all. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Hey, I just want to commend you two for working so well together on all of this. I know that it's not easy all the time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we are reconvened as the Ramsey County Commission, and on that note, I would like to introduce Greg Smanko from the North Dakota Department of Transportation. He's going to give us a speed study result on Highway 2 East. We have requested that from the state as a part of the concern for increased traffic speed and residential along the highway. So, you're up, Greg.
Kevin was nice enough to invite me. I'm looking at him, I'm wondering, boy, this is a tough crowd. You got
A jump drive?
Yeah, if we ask Steve, we should be able to help.
I think there's a jump drive right down there.
Okay.
Do you know how to work it?
No, Kevin's right there, but he's not.
Sound like you do the most.
Okay.
The exit partially, you should be able to do the jump drive on the other corner.
I didn't bring handouts, so that's why I had to,
You want to exit?
Somebody's got that.
Who's got
There
the?
you go. Okay, got it. You got it on.
Oh, Mike. He's got it.
I didn't know you were for Steve. You can just scroll down that window and over it
You'll
over.
go right there to that.
That is tough to see that, but let it go, read it. Yeah, go to the arrow there real quick and just scroll down and see. Is it, what format is it in?
Just open folder.
Yeah, go to open folder to view files. Because I don't know if you want to use Kodak
damn, it
camera
seems
stuff.
fast. That one?
No, go down to this one here. Is it in PDF format or? Okay, yeah, you don't want to use that Kodak one, then go to OK.
There we go.
Then you can make that.
Just double, yeah, there you go. There you go. I can just open up PDF from there. Which one do you want to open? The speed limit east? Yeah, just top one there then.
Let's open that one.
Very good.
That's Martin's letter. I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
I'll put them all in there, just,
The engineering study?
there we
There you
go.
go. Hopefully we have Excel.
There you go. Click on it to get it.
There you go, double click it. There we go. Come on, computer. That's from 2007, so we have probably another version. It's just that word.
Yes.
Ability checker dialog is unable to run. Do you want to continue? Just click yes. Yep. It's got a format. There we go.
There you go.
Okay. At the request of the commission, we went up, we had a speed zone study done. Essentially what they were looking at what the speed is of the existing traffic out, and they looked at 4 different areas. Each area is highlighted by the box, and so we start near the city and we end up out past mining. When we do a speed study, we look at 2 things. The 85th percentile, the speed of the traveling public, 85% or less are traveling at that speed. So there's 15% of the public is traveling faster than the speed listed under that 85. And then the 50th percentile. At no time should the speed limit ever be set below that 50th percentile, is what we go by. When you look at that 50th percentile, you're running right around that 65, 70 mark at a 5 miles plus or minus. When you look at the 85 percentile, you're looking at people driving 74 to 75 mile an hour.
And that starts where?
That starts up by the city.
So number 4 then is binding then,
Yep.
and then it goes back. Okay.
Back to the city.
What's the first one?
The first one would be out by Elks Drive.
Oaks Drive to,
Or
So you're out of the city, yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
got,
outside the city.
you got outside of the
No, we
city.
can't be driving 70 in.
We can?
40.
Really?
That must be right next to Young's there then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Young's and then out next High Plains or so, or past High Plains.
Yep.
Kind of at the beginning of Ackerman Acres and then out past the cliffs on the corner there.
Yep.
And then out next to mine.
station then, or what's your finding?
Well, when we look at that, the speed doesn't seem to be an issue, because the public, as they drive it, they're seeing it as, there's no issue. Why do I need to slow down? And when you get into some of these areas, they just put a new one up over by Ross, North Dakota. And I drive through that, and all of a sudden, I'm driving really slow, and I'm wondering why I don't perceive an issue. When you slow people down in an area where they're already driving fast like that, you have speed differentials now. Without enforcement and without behavioral change, you'll have that speed differential, which becomes a bigger problem. Because as you're judging somebody doing 50, the next person might be doing 70. And so that's where we have an issue. We took the speed study though, and we went back and we asked our highway patrol, because when we do a speed study, we always have to get their input too. And the lieutenant said, no, there's not a speed issue out there. What it turns out, he says, is the issue seems to be more of left turns. The left turns seem to be a bigger problem on that than the speed. So we took that information, and now you gotta go to a different slide, Kevin, sorry.
So you need to X out of this and go back to the files then?
Yeah. So we looked at it and we asked ourselves, what can we do to make it safer on that? So we came up with just conceptual ideas for the speed study.
Which, another slide, I gotta go back.
Yeah, just X out of that.
Go up and X out.
And then go up to J-turn concept.
That one? I can't read them.
Yeah, that one right there, right
Yeah.
there you go.
So we gave it back to our traffic ops and said, how can we reduce the left turns out there? You all heard about the J-turns in Larimore and how they fought that. The same concept came up here again. That's a way that we could reduce left turns. Essentially, this one's out of Vining out there.
Glad you brought that up.
What you do is you reduce, you don't allow a left turn. You make them turn right. Go down the road, make a U-turn, and come back on that highway that they want to be on.
That'd be a hell of a lot better than what's there.
It's an option, and that's one. We looked at it, and that's in this area. We also went up down to Ackerman Acres and looked at one too. And this is all conceptual, because this time we haven't placed those exactly where they should be. Where probably will end up because of sight lines and things. We just put them kind of on a map. But when I was going down the highway one day, a truck pulled out of the bean plant, and when they pulled out, the traffic in the westbound lane had to slow down for him to complete the turn. That's part of the behavioral. And we can't, that's the hard one to correct. You know, that's enforcement, and we can't be there 100% of the time. The highway patrol can't. So that's the first one.
Okay.
And then the next one is, try that, there you go, the frontage road concept again. Back to reducing accesses by putting in a frontage road across areas. This one is out of Vining also, in that same area. And it goes back to where that frontage road
Was supposed to be.
is where it was supposed to be exactly. But we can also use this concept down at the other end, in Ackerman's and through that area. What this takes, though, is the commitment of others, though, because the county will end up having to maintain and build that road.
The frontage road.
The frontage road in there. So,
The county?
yes, sir.
Somebody other than the state put it down.
Yep.
It's not on there right away, it'll be
Somebody other than what, Kevin?
The state.
Yep. Like, could be those,
Could be the private, it could be a,
developer,
It could be close and Vining,
whoever
it
developed
could
the
be a
lots.
town, it could be a township, it could be
or the
a
township,
community group,
or the county.
you know, something like that. But the state will not, does not wanna maintain them.
So in this scenario, we don't gain a left-hand turn lane to get up in the Vining though.
You still don't gain it, but you remove that access point.
There's no access there,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna take that out.
Yep, you take those X's out and then you'd have to use existing.
You would turn at that close corner on 87th.
At 87th you turn.
Would you
There's
do
a
it?
turn off lane there.
And there's a turn lane that closes there.
Yeah, they would,
Yeah.
So you're just eliminating that.
yeah, essentially what happened is that turn lane doesn't meet our current standards, we'd have to lengthen it out.
Yep.
In order to make it, to make everything fit better.
But you would do that.
Yeah, that is your.
That's-
turn off.
That's your responsibility.
That's up for negotiation, I
With the
can't,
state?
yeah.
Okay,
But I bring these as concepts, okay?
okay.
And we go back to the whole speed study and we look at it and we don't believe the speed is the issue. It's more the left turns and behavior of the drivers.
Those darn people that live there have to turn off the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the problem, Bill, you're
yeah,
absolutely right.
including Commissioner Mertens.
Including
He
me,
has to
I
turn
tell you
off
what,
the
it's just about getting run over.
Yeah.
I bet you
Yeah.
25% of the time you're getting run over before you get off the road.
It's not, you pay more attention to what's coming behind you.
Then what's
Oh,
the
yeah.
pressure? Oh,
Take
yeah,
that.
every time.
Yep. And so, we bring it to you as just as a concept. You know,
So if we did this here, what about back at
Ackermans and stuff.
Ackerman's and the equipment company, High Plains?
Yep. High Plains is already a frontage road in that place.
Right,
Yeah, there's no.
And we'll gladly let you take that one over.
no, that's fine. But would High Plains need to,
They have a left-hand turn lane currently, correct?
Yeah.
It's kind of a short one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it should probably, if we were gonna do anything, extension of it would.
yeah, it would get rebuilt to match the
Let's do like
existing.
740 or whatever,
Yeah.
instead of what it is currently.
Who owns the frontage road then? Who owns that property?
Unfortunately,
close and
I
Viking?
do.
You
Well,
don't?
the state
Yeah,
owns
if you
the
want it.
frontage road.
State highway owns it?
We'll gladly deed it to you.
You own it?
The frontage road in front of High Plains?
No, I mean,
No,
This
no,
one.
yeah, this one.
No, that one there, that's
privately owned.
Private
That's
property.
private development there.
Yeah, if we wanted to do something like this,
Yeah.
we would take we'd either have to talk them into doing it, or we'd have to take responsibility by right of way and.
Yeah, you go through the right-of-way process to acquire
That'd be
it,
like a battle,
so.
Well, you know, and
I don't know.
I see this as being a battle no matter what we do. I see this as being a battle if we do nothing.
Yeah.
Because the next person that gets killed out there is going to be just as adamant about having something done to change this as this landowner is in this particular instance, and there are other places along there, as they are to not have to pay to do something. So, you know, I've got a problem with, let's not do anything because it's too much hassle. You know,
That's why we brought a concept to you. You know,
Turn off lanes would be the biggest, the easiest answer as far as I'm concerned.
it's also the most
When you
expensive.
go into Grand Forks, every turnoff has a turn off lane.
Exactly.
But we can't put them here. Because we would match, we'd have a turn lane next to a turn lane at this intersection.
Right, well, and so you can't put a turn lane in at Vining, because it was never built to be turning there in the first place. When they built that to turn in down there. And it was only after these two property owners had a problem with each other that second turn-in lane where the X is came into being. And you know that from history, correct, Greg? Okay. Just so people understand.
I don't know how it came about that the frontage road didn't end up in there, but the original concept showed a frontage road being put in. Had it not been shown, there would have never been enough volume of traffic generated to warrant the turn lanes at 87.
Yeah, okay.
And that was the issue. They showed them all together, that would have generated the traffic and therefore it warranted, that's why that turn lane got put in. When it didn't get put in and somebody else put this in, then it was created, then a problem was created by somebody, you know, we allowed somebody else to put an access in and we created a problem.
So, under the J-turn concept or under a concept such as this, the work that is done out on Highway 2, whose responsibility would that be for cost? Would it be a share, would it be negotiated, would the state be willing to step up on something like that, or how would that be dealt with?
That's what I don't know, Adam, and that's why I bring it up as, if you wanna go forward, we can start the ball rolling.
What kind of
Because
cost
I have
is
to
there
start
for
somewhere.
a J-turn or a turn lane, just ballpark, what are we looking at?
Cost-wise?
Yes.
I don't have that cost off the top of my head, but
Do you know what the one at Larimore was gonna cost, out of curiosity?
no.
No, okay. I'm just curious because, I mean, we're talking,
You're
state
talking-
funding is gonna be harder and harder to receive, I'm sure, for
This
something
one's
like
gonna be,
this.
instead of one, this one would be several.
Yeah.
Because you'd have several at this end, and then you'd have several back here
Yeah.
where it's increments.
I mean, we're not talking about a small project here, I mean, we're talking about a rather large project, and if we take it on just as a local cost, it's going to be very, very difficult to pull off, I would assume.
Greg, can you tell me this? Where do you perceive the biggest problem safety-wise? Ackerman Acres, Vining Oil? Where do you see the biggest problem? All of the above?
Left turns.
Yeah.
Left
But I mean, is
Can
there
I
one,
just say it
is
that way?
there somewhere to start? That's my question. Which would you start with if you had access to the money and we could handle putting in and maintaining the frontage road? Would you start at Vining or would you start at Ackerman Acres?
That's a tough question. I know out here, when we rebuilt Haybale Bay, we pushed everything closer together so we could avoid right-of-way costs when we went up with the road. And so we got a little, that's why the median is narrower in this area than others. Because right-of-way gets expensive for us, especially when you're dealing with the lake too. So that's why that happened, okay? And I can't answer, to be honest with you, Murray, which one would be more better. You know, which one
I
would
guess
be-
you need, I suppose you need a traffic
Yeah,
study in
same
order
one.
to know that answer, whether it was more people turning left into Ackerman Acres or
you
more
need a
people
traffic
turning
count.
left into Vining.
Yeah. You know,
So-
there's between 4 to 6,000 people a day within this area out there, travelers. And what the counts are for turning movements, I wouldn't know that.
Don't the counts kind of give you some kind of an indication?
Yeah, you'll
Turn
get
off in between?
But I don't have off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you had a counter set east of Vining and one in the middle, but they could be turning off at Haybale, they could, you know, depending on east or west bound or Vining, or, I mean, you'd have an idea.
Yeah,
But you've got an idea, and
You'd
these
see-
traffic ops guys, they use these formulas to generate these things, and
you'd
how they
see
do it, I don't know.
how many people are using turnoffs in between the city of Devils Lake and the one that's on the east side of Vining. And it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, you'd see the degradation of numbers from town. Now, you wouldn't know which lanes they're using probably, but you'd have an idea of how many vehicles
Right.
you're losing from there.
And
You
even
know,
if you
Craig-
get past Hefty Rest area, you'll see that traffic drop.
Yes, I would guess
Oh, yeah.
substantially, because there's a lot of it that gets out to the Woods Road
Yeah.
and turns off right away too, and then the numbers go way down.
Just noticing personally, and I think Ed will probably back me up on this, they've got a huge issue at that new Senex station already. Oh my God. Trying to turn left off of that, and by the time you get trucks are backed up all the way.
There's turn lanes coming for that one.
Yeah, there's,
That's-
we saw that was one of my questions I was
This
gonna
summer
ask.
they're
is
coming.
They're putting that left turn lane onto Elks Drive,
Can
correct?
you do it today?
I thought I saw that come across our
I'm
desk.
serious.
It's coming, close as the contract, and it'll be done this summer.
Holy
Yeah, and
You're talking about just about a serious issue going into, right into Vining or Ackerman Acres, you know,
Again, that's that perception, again, where you've got a truck slowing down, and you've got people speeding past.
Next question, are you gonna put a light in there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so the city put a light to Walmart, but they won't.
No, Walmart.
Walmart
paid for the light.
Walmart paid for all that work
They
out
paid
there.
for all the work, the
Oh, wow.
intersection, the light, the whole work.
Yep,
I didn't know that, thank you.
Yes.
they did all that.
So we're gonna ask Cenex to do
Well,
that too?
You can,
You can
you
try.
can try, but it's already existing.
You know, you've actually got
City of
people at a
Bay
40
Fort,
mile
they
an
got
hour
3 mile
zone trying to get off the
extra
highway.
so-
They're out further, you've got people in the 70 mile an hour zone trying to get off the highway.
I think we should put these people in the same room, the people in that property out here, and they got some sense, they got some, you know,
Yeah, I think we
ability to,
should-
we gotta, the only thing we can do is put that frontage road in, I guess we're gonna have to get that group of people together and get the township in here, and the county, and the state, and the city.
I
And
think,
it's probably not 3 miles out there, it's a lot farther, but they've got an interest in this also. And this should have been done when the planning started, but that's over, water over the bridge, I mean, it's done.
The,
We gotta correct it now, we gotta figure out a way to correct it now. What do you think, Kevin?
the land for that road still exists. When you look at the drawing for that plat.
But who owns it?
Vining.
Probably the
Well, I think they
adjacent
both do,
landowners.
yeah, I think they
The
both do.
adjacent landowners.
The land exists, but there's a
Wood pack.
propane tank across it.
Yeah, what it says is it's set aside for public use or whatever, however they word it. You know, it's set aside as an access, that's all that.
It's platted.
It's fine.
It is?
Yeah,
Well, then let's
Is
just.
it wide enough?
I assume, I don't know what the width is, but I assume it is.
Let's have Lonnie look at that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And,
And
I mean, this is a bad
It would be
intersection, and Bill will back me on that one too, I mean, this is horrible. You know, yours up there too, you know. If
Yeah,
there's residents using this, we gotta get a frontage road, I mean, not frontage, but a turning lane. We've gotta have it.
They gotta have turnoff lanes, all of them.
Is it possible to do, maybe if we work with the state to, or ask the state to put down traffic counters on those turns, so we know what we're looking at, so we can kind of prioritize spots?
I would say they would have a lot of that information already.
Is it
The
possible
state
for you and Kevin to work together to get us those numbers so we can prioritize
Yeah,
you know.
Ackerman's or Vining or
where we want to,
whichever
I mean,
one
is the most. My inclination is probably Vining is probably one of the worst, if not the worst. But I think it would be good to have some numbers so we know where to start.
In other words, what you want us to do is determine which areas have the most left turns, right turns. Which has the most turning movements, which one has the most congestion as far as conflicts out there. Once you know that, then you can come back and decide which area to attack first.
Yeah, because
and how best to do it.
I guess it's just my inclination that looking at all these different areas, like you said, there's multiple areas to attack. We're not going to be able to handle all of them at one time, but if we can slowly start attacking them one by one, eventually we'll solve the problem. It's just gonna take time.
And that's why I asked the
But
question.
we have this
to begin with.
information, it will be very beneficial in our
Right.
meeting, you know.
And then we should schedule a meeting
Logically,
with,
we gotta shut this down, I mean, we just can't leave it out there.
we can't just wait till somebody else loses their life out there. We've got to.
It's a problem.
That's
It's solved.
Well, and I,
Ackerman's have 200 more lots to sell right there.
right, well, that's the thing.
Well, and it's just gonna keep getting worse, yeah. But we have to,
Well,
we need
and-
some numbers to determine which,
And
where to
the
start.
thing with it is, I think that the problems are gonna be similar to the problems at Cenex with Vining. You're gonna look at the semis turning in. And you're gonna, the truck traffic is gonna be, it probably won't be as big in numbers, but the amount of truck traffic making the left turns is gonna be it is gonna be extremely high. Probably the numbers of vehicles isn't gonna be as high at Vining, but the
When they
number of
look at
trucks
this,
is gonna be.
when they look at this, Marna, what they'll do is they'll take, and they'll determine how many are passenger vehicles, and then how many are truck.
Okay.
They'll convert the truck into passenger vehicle and give you the turning movements from that in order to come up with the warrants for movements.
When you put those J turns in there, are they usable for semis then? Can they make the turn with pup trailers on, which are legal? No problem.
No problem.
Truckers don't have a problem with that?
I
was in disbelief too.
Oh, that's big.
I was in disbelief. So I went out and I started reading other information on J-turns in other states.
Right.
And some of the townships were very much in disbelief that they weren't. And now they're coming back, it's kind of like the roundabout, they're saying, these things actually
Those
work.
really work.
They do work. They don't slow me down as bad. They're fine.
Yeah,
And so,
once you get used to them, yeah.
yeah, it's, like I say, the roundabout in Kildare is a prime example of something that went in. Everybody, it was new. Everybody said, this will never work, this can't be. When Kildare got ready to build their bypass around, they said, you can build it, but you gotta have roundabouts at both ends.
You told them that?
No, they told us that.
Oh, okay. You convinced those cowboys?
Yes, believe it or not.
Boy, those things really work. Oh, they work.
Yeah, they do.
And the one going in Carrington is gonna be fun, because that one's gonna be a little bit bigger. That's our heavy haul route. And we limit the length of loads going through the one at Kildare. But down in Carrington, we're gonna run about 150-foot length loads through that. Then after that, we gotta start doing some different stuff, but we should be able to run about 190-foot load through that roundabout. Where the one at Kildare is limited to about 130.
That's gonna be on the corner, 200 and
50.
281. Or 281. Really?
Yeah.
So,
They really need that.
the reason I ask them questions is, you know, semis can turn and go back, or heading east, you know,
Yeah.
they can turn and go back to Pinehurst and fill with fuel, you know, and that's gonna be the first thing they're worried about is, are we
How do
gonna
we
lose
get
business by putting this in?
Yeah.
And if it's not, then there's, you know, I'm sure Viney, you'll be aware of what's going on
Yeah, the
there.
bean plant will be jumping up and down, because if we're gonna do it, we're gonna incorporate that too, because of the truck traffic coming in and out of that.
So you tell me you want another frontage road going east from that 87?
No, not a frontage road, if we do J-turns.
Or he's talking about Jason, so.
What about the bean plant? What are you gonna do with that deal?
If the bean plant, if it was a J-turn, I'd put a J-turn up past the bean plant too.
Past the bean plant.
Yep, so they gotta do the same thing to get in and out of there.
So you're gonna put two in there, one on this 87th, and then the next street is what, 86?
Or maybe 5.
Up a mile, up a mile. Up a mile, you're gonna put another one in.
Yep.
And the highway would be.
That's a good way to do it.
And the highway would be responsible for those costs, for J-turn?
That I'm not
Or
sure.
the state would be responsible for it?
That's the part I'm not sure on, Myrna, okay? I don't know that, I
I
have
like
not
the
asked
idea.
that question. I haven't gone to the financial gurus to ask that part.
Well,
But
So you, evidently you haven't done this before then.
no,
Yeah,
because
there's no J-turns in the state.
as this came up, it was brought as a speed study. It came out of the speed study as something completely different. And so we're looking at the concept saying, you know, if you truly do want to make it safer than what it is today, these are a couple of the ideas.
But Larimore was all against this.
Larimore was all against it, yeah.
Because why? Tell me that. What was the feeling in the meeting? What did people say? I mean, I
I don't know, but they have a packed house,
yeah, I heard that.
so
Because they didn't want to turn them semis that sharp?
I don't know.
Well,
I
it
think it was-
slows the truck traffic down.
Pardon
It
me?
slows the
Yeah,
truck traffic down.
That's my bad. So,
It's a difference.
Do you have these
Everybody
in
wants-
handouts?
what's that?
Do you have those on handouts, so I can stop?
I do, but it's, like I say, it's all conceptual.
Yep.
I don't really wanna,
Can we look at that J-turn thing again then, or?
yeah,
On something like the frontage or a J, not a frontage, but the left-hand turns or a J-turn, if it's out on state highway right of way, then all the upkeep and maintenance would be the state's responsibility following. Whereas a frontage road, we would be responsible for that, or the privates.
correct. And Kevin
Well,
wants to.
that might make a difference.
Well, I mean, it's just something to put into consideration, you know, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, we're already out there, and then once you.
The concept.
It's not that,
Problem with,
it's gonna be higher maintenance.
when you add these J-turns, left turn lanes is not so much now in summer, but in the wintertime, when we do snow removal, we add, for every left turn lane you put in there, it adds about another half hour's worth of work to that snowplow operator to clean that area. You know, and if you talk to them, they say that is the worst job is cleaning median crossovers.
Becomes dangerous for them too.
Yes, yep.
Well,
And so I don't know how a J-turn, you know, what the concept would be, how their snow removal, if it would get easier or not for them.
you'd have to get some kind of a piece of equipment, like a big blower or something like that, to go out there and just focus on those and get those done, not slow the plow down.
Or we just take the tow plows through them and, you know, we go full width right away,
Yeah.
drag them through.
Well, I appreciate you coming because we're getting more report back from you than we have in the past. I mean, in the past meetings, it's been
Yeah,
a big walk, you know,
And
so.
it's nice to hear that you're, thinking out of the box,
Yeah.
answering more than the questions that we ask.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more answers than, can you install a light? Can you make a wider left-hand turn? These are concepts that we can work with, have a meeting with the landowners in the area and state and county and the townships and come up with a plan and try to sell it.
You see, that's the whole problem, somebody's gotta sell it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We get the information and we'll work on that.
We can sell it if we've got the correct information. I think everybody wants safety first.
And that's like in Carrington, you know, we thought that roundabout idea was gonna be a battle down there. Actually, the city was well on board with it. And they're excited.
Kilder said they wanted them.
And Kilder, they built the first one, and then when they built in the new bypass, they said, only if we put in roundabouts. Kilder and the county did. I was tough to understand too.
Oh, that's good, that's good.
First time you come
It'll help a lot
up, I
safer.
wonder how it's gonna work. Boy, you just
Oh,
zip
yeah,
right through
they-
it. Take off wherever you
Well,
want.
in Grand Forks, they put 2 roundabouts,
Oh, by the
all
airport.
through the new school in South
Yeah.
Parks, they put one up by
Yeah.
I know
the
there's South
old
Park
school.
over there, but it's-
And one up by the new school.
City of Williston is putting in quite a few. There's one out on Highway 58, by the Fairview line, Montana, North Dakota line at Fairview. That's where all the meat farmers are, you know, so they got the big meat pile right to the south of it, so they all gotta go through that. And I didn't hear how it functioned this last winter.
Where's that
This
at?
last spring, fall. This is out of Fairview, Montana.
Okay.
Right there on the North Dakota-Montana line, 58. There's one there, Kildare, Johnson's Corner has one on Highway 23, West Watford. They put one at Keene Corner up there in that area too, so they're going in.
Are you talking about roundabouts now or J-turns?
Roundabouts, yep.
Okay.
We haven't put J-turn in yet within the state of North Dakota.
So maybe we need to be your pilot project. We put 4 in.
So, well, if you go to the other one, Kevin, there's not one more J-turn concept.
But maybe
the
the
Ackerman.
state.
Like I say, we
Because
just,
they stay on their highway.
these guys just took and drew these up just as a concept. You know, there's nothing, be the second one from the top. There's nothing that says this is where they're gonna go. It's just a concept, so. You know, each one of those X represents a median crossover that would be removed.
Right.
Well, I think that'd be a good idea there. I mean, there's just too many crossovers there.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, and you're right, Ed, that's where the problem comes, is everybody wants to cross over to my house. But the other side of it is that then we have issues. When you put 9 approaches in a short distance, it gets tough for the people behind you to understand who's turning where. You know, like Bill says, you gotta watch the rearview mirror all the time.
So on these, you're leaving in the right turn zone, the right turn approaches?
Yeah. So,
But they have the one at Vining coming out.
one of Vining coming out, then you turn right, you go down the road and then turn and come back into the eastbound.
It would come off
There was next in there though.
What's that?
Well, that was on the frontage road. It would come off of.
On the J-turn concept, you'd still use the J-turn with the right-hand turn lane in a viaduct.
So just to throw it out there, how would the commissioners like to approach this? Would you like to have this discussion?
Let me get some information.
Well,
You
that's
need more
a given,
information.
excuse
You need
me,
more
excuse me.
They should bring that back to us.
How would you like us to approach this? Would you like us to have a meeting as a part of a regularly scheduled county commission meeting to discuss this further? When we have the information from the state, we have some preliminary costs, and we can have a meeting with the landowners in the township and the state, or do you want to have a special meeting when we have our numbers together and some idea of how we want to do this?
How long would it take for you, the state, to compile the information on the counts and all that kind of stuff?
I don't think that would take long. Just trying to figure out how best, like Myrna says, how best to approach it.
Well,
And to get a cost wouldn't be so bad, you know, of ballpark cost. The other issue though would be is, you know, you always hate to put something out and people say this is what it's gonna be. It's like, no, it's all conceptual, that's why
We need to know.
well, that's kind of what,
and I don't wanna put it out there unless we know exactly where they're gonna go.
and that, yeah, that's kind of where my thought process is. I think how I would approach it, I guess, in my idea would be, if you would coordinate with Kevin, come up with those numbers, and then just some preliminary dollar figures off the ideas. Give them to Kevin, we can work with it at the commission level here, and then at that point, we can prioritize off of what we feel we can budget year for year, off of what we want to do first, and then we can pull in the stakeholders from the townships or whomever off of prioritization of projects then. And it doesn't have to be set, this is where it's gonna go, but just that would be a place to start.
Yeah, you need a dollar amount in a construction year, yada, yada.
At least that's just my thought.
Yeah. And when we have that all together, then we'll present it to the landowners in the township as well. Okay?
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to pull in stakeholders if we don't have any information on turn numbers or dollars or anything, and we don't have a clue where we're even gonna be at this point.
What would simplify a lot for us as a county would be that frontage road. Who owns it?
Yeah.
We don't own it. And
Well, and at the same time, we should get that information through, you could work with Lonnie and get that information, so at least we know what our options will be.
there's enough right away there to put that road in. Let's figure that out too. Gotta have that.
I don't think we need a motion to that effect.
No, well, I
Just so
just
Kevin
wanted
knows
it
that's
for,
kind of how we want to handle things.
I just kind of wanted it for planning purposes.
Yeah, just so
for
the ball keeps rolling.
upcoming meetings, so that we can stay on it.
You gotta keep the shiny thing on top of my desk.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it gets put aside.
That's understandable. That's how anybody operates.
So we'll put that under old business at our next meeting then, if that's
Stay on
okay
top of
with
it.
you.
Anything else?
Thank you for the information.
I got a question for you, Jeff.
This is one scheduled for removal here. And this is Ryan. Because this is the Cliffs, this is Akron's. And there's a right of way right in here. They could go all the way over to this road over here, keep that in mind.
Oh, for frontage.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's-
so when you're looking at eliminating something,
And that's the other side of it too, you know, it could be that the frontage road could be built on state property if the county,
We'll maintain it.
who is the owner of it, you know, because that's a government to government. Going government to a
Right.
individual is tough, you know that, and so that's the other option, you know, in order to get frontage roads put in.
Or private to government.
Yeah.
Do you have another question, or I have one more question, I just thought of it.
Go ahead.
You said you haven't talked to anybody from the state on financing, but how does that work? Is there a certain pots of money for certain areas of the state, or an overall plan, or?
If we can put it into a safety fund project, if there's money available in a safety fund project, it could go there.
Okay.
Or it would have to go into the general STIP
Just the
process.
transportation
Yeah, state
budget that we're
transportation
trying to do.
improvement program.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So, you know, we'll look, like I say, if it fits the safety bill and they have enough money left over, then it'll slide a lot quicker that way. So that's where I'd jump first.
Well, I appreciate it, you know, we've been hitting our heads for 4 years on what we should be doing here, so I appreciate the time you put in. And we'll continue to put in.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks.
Okay? Alright, now I just need to.
Did your jump drive?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, you want that back?
oh yeah, there's other stuff on there for,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
That's a good presentation.
So, like I said, we didn't send you a formal letter back because
This is good enough.
This is conceptual.
well, it was one of those things where it wasn't the speed that was getting us, it was something different, so we figured we better bring back something else.
Yeah.
So, okay?
Well, that's a good point.
Okay.
You know, it's a good point that it isn't the speed.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Bill has said that from the very beginning. It's not the speed, it's the left turn.
And it was something that, you know, like I say, our highway patrol friends help us identify these things. So, appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Is there anything else to come before the commission? We're adjourned.